The topic, key financial aspects for locum tenens physicians. We're gonna walk through it all, from the basics to what is a locum tenens physician, to the benefits. How about the drawbacks? What about retirement? How about risk management? You don't have those traditional employer benefits per se from the retirement side or the risk management. How do you set up this as a business structure? Is it going to be set up as an LLC? Is it an S Corp? Is it a C Corp? What is all this alphabet soup? Don't worry, we're going to cover all that next. So, as always, stay tuned. First up, what is a locum tenens physician? Now you're probably thinking, how else would I found this video? I probably have an idea of what it is because I Google searched it. Or maybe it's one of those weird moments where Google or Siri was listening and it just popped up. Regardless, I'm happy you're here, but let's walk through this locum tenens physician. If you take it back to high school Latin, and I didn't take high school Latin, the main topic here is locum. Locum tenens stands for to hold a place, which fits this pretty well because locum tenens physicians are usually hired in unique situations where a hospital or maybe an area is understaffed and they need help. This could be from a physician standpoint. This can also be from a nurse standpoint. It can really be a broad topic here. But the key here is locum tenens physicians are brought in to fill a void or a gap in a current hospital or current area and their hospital system. I actually absolutely love working with locum tenens physicians because it combines two of my favorite topics, physicians and business owners. And really, locum tenens are coming in as a business owner. You're fully responsible for a lot of your own decisions, which we're going to cover as we get further into this post. But for now, we'll start with the basics. That is what a locum tenens physician is. All right, let's get into it. So what are the benefits of being a locum tenens physician? First and foremost, you're probably going to see a little bit higher pay. Let me rephrase that. I hope you're seeing a higher pay because of a few reasons. One, you're a business owner, so you are going to have to pay something called quarterly taxes. And if you take nothing else away from this call, or this video I should say, don't forget that. You're going to have to pay your own taxes. So that's one important aspect here, but you're going to get paid a higher rate. Again, don't buy into that too much only because, remember, you got to pay quarterly taxes. You're going to have to go save for your own retirement. You're going to have to get your own insurance. These are things that are going to be really important. You're working as a business owner now. You can write off your expenses, track everything. Anything you're buying that pertains to work, even mileage, all of those things, document that. Provide them to your accountant at the end of the year. Maybe some are needed, maybe some are not, but you're not going to hurt yourself by just documenting everything. So that's another benefit. You're getting paid to travel. Depending on what phase of life you're in, I think locum tenens is a pretty sweet spot because you could be traveling to different hospitals all over the US and just seeing different cultures spread out through the United States. So I think that's another big benefit in there. And lastly, the other one we put on here is just experience in different work environments. If your time would ever end as a locum tenens and you're ready to settle down per se, think about how appealing that might be to a new employer where you have had experience in many different hospitals, many different cities, many different settings. Those are usually the main benefits. I always come back to locum tenens from my side of it as a CFP. One of my favorite things is it's that ability to be a business owner. Yes, you're a physician. First and foremost, you're a physician, but you're also now a business owner. And being a business owner just opens up a whole new world of financial planning and different benefits in there. I think that's probably the main benefit from my side of it, but those other four benefits that we just noted also are pretty appealing if you are interested or already about to become a locum tenens physician. As I always say, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. So there are some drawbacks as well. So the first two kind of go together, right? Potentially too much travel. Maybe you wanted to lay down some roots. Maybe you don't want to spend a few months here, a year there, a few months here, a year there. That's not meant for everybody. If you have a family, whether it's a spouse or children or a significant other, you're probably bouncing around quite a bit. Or even if it's just you, your parents or grandparents are still down the street, you might have an issue there because you're not going to be around them as much as you wanted to. And this is sometimes where I always bring it back to, we can crunch numbers all day long, but sometimes the bigger value is your values. What's most important to you? Other items we listed in here is just lack of employer benefits. That's one that we're going to cover here in a second too, but you don't have a retirement plan that's nice and tidied up where you just put some from your paycheck. You don't have that group disability, that group life insurance. You don't have these 4 nice health insurance plans to choose from. You were fully responsible for all these. And while I love that flexibility, and I hope you would love that flexibility too, it doesn't appeal to everybody. It can be overwhelming. That might not be something that you're looking forward to. In there too, I would also include the responsibility for your retirement savings. Like I said earlier, it's one of those ones where, hey, I'm going to crank away $22,000. Here's what I'm going to do. Take this from each paycheck. It doesn't work that way anymore. You have to do that on your own. Now, with that, You can also get a lot more into your plan, which I'll cover here once we hit the retirement section, but it might not be that traditional 22,500 using the 2023 guidelines right now in that comment. That number does change. So if you're watching this in a later year, just keep that in mind. That number usually goes up with little inflation increases. And last but not least, your income and expenses can vary, right? You sign this contract for 6 months, here's your income. Maybe this other spot's for 3 months, but it's lower income. But it's also in a different part of the country. So maybe the cost of living has gone up, maybe it's gone down. You're living as a nomad here for a little bit, right? Maybe you don't like that idea, filling up the suitcase and the car and going from one place to the next. So while there's plenty of benefits, there's also drawbacks that need to be included in your decision. And those are the main ones that we have seen, or even some of the pain points we have discussed with our clients that are either getting into locums, they're currently a locums, or they're maybe looking to get out of it. I think both the benefits and the drawback sections are good examples of real life scenarios of clients that we are currently working with on what they loved, maybe what they didn't love so much. All right, getting into my world now. Retirement savings as a locum tenens physician. As I noted earlier, it's a good thing. It can also be a bad thing. I think it's a much bigger pro than it is a con. Some people might like the flexibility and the ease of a workplace retirement plan where you put X from your paycheck, you build this nice little 4-fund, 5-fund mutual fund portfolio through Vanguard or whatever you plug in here. But the beauty of this side is you probably can get a lot more. And here's what I mean by that. So not only in this example are you the employee, which that's that $22,500 limit, again, 2023 number, but you're also the employer. So if you have good income coming in, not only can you get your $22,500, you might be able to get the whole way up to $66,000, which is your 2023 max limit for employee and employer contribution. So it can be a much larger number. Now you're probably thinking, okay, where the heck am I putting all this money? In this example, and pretty much 100% of the time from our side of it, as long as backdoor Roth IRAs live on, which they do, as we record this video, and we do have good hope for them going forward as well, you should be looking more towards what we call a solo 401k plan, sometimes labeled as an individual 401k plan, sometimes labeled as a COG plan, but just label it as a solo K here, where usually the more fierce competitor here would be the SEP IRA, but we don't love the SEP IRA for one reason. It affects your backdoor Roth IRA. So while they both allow similar, they really allow the same amount and they have similar calculations, they're a little bit different. We're going to push you more towards the solo 401k plan for the main reason that it would allow you to still do your backdoor Roth IRA, not bring in any pro rata issues. If you have a SEP and you're thinking, sugar, now what do? You can just take your SEP and roll it into a solo K. I would say the one thing to keep in mind with your solo K is once it goes above 250,000, it does trigger a new form called a 5500. So just keep that in mind or notify your accountant, but take the solo 401k over the SEP. Other notable items in here, defined benefit plan. This topic is more detailed than what I'm going to get into in this video, but just keep in mind, if you are crushing it and have very good 1099 income, and you're easily maxing out the full max employee and employer into your solo K, maybe there's a chance for you to even put more money away in a tax benefit or a tax deferred basis with something called a defined benefit plan, which in short, you're really building a pension plan here. The most common one we look at is what we call a cash balance plan. Unfortunately, we won't have enough time in this video to get into the weeds here, but just put this on your radar. If you're watching this and you're thinking, oh man, I'd love to be able to save more pre-tax, I'm already doing this, I'm doing that. That is a neat topic. Other things, backdoor Roth IRA, love the backdoor Roth IRA. Pretty much every single household that we work with, we're doing backdoor Roth IRA. So make sure you have that on your radar. The thing about backdoor Roths, you can't do too much into them. Currently, as we sit here now, we're at 6,500. Again, 2023, that number will adjust based on inflation. You have your HSA, and another account that doesn't have any tax benefits to it would just be a traditional taxable account or a joint investment account with your spouse or significant other that you can still put money away. So I've kept this more towards the retirement plan because that's the point of this conversation, where some of those will start to veer outside that you could use them wherever. But I think the benefits of the solo K over the SEP, possibly introduce a defined benefit plan at some point, in particular, say the most common is the cash balance plan. Take advantage of the backdoor Roth IRA. If you can utilize an HSA, remember this comes in from you choosing your health plan too. If you chose a high deductible health plan that is HSA eligible, you can start to take advantage of an HSA as well, which we love HSAs for numerous reasons. And then lastly, if you're filling up all these buckets and you're sitting there saying, now what? Kudos, right? You're crushing it. But now you can start to look at that taxable account as well. Main topic here to keep in mind, solo 401k, a little bit better than the SEP for the reasons that I noted, but that is where I'd be looking towards that retirement side as a locum tenens physician. Next up, risk management for a locum tenens physician. Coming back to the idea of you don't have this nice employer benefits package. Sure, you don't have that, but the cool part is you get to make your own. So things to keep in mind. Here are the insurance coverages we want you to have at the very top of your mind. Liability. Liability is going to come in two forms as a physician. You want medical malpractice. I hope I am not breaking news to you right now. You need medical malpractice. The other good liability insurance, which is relatively cheap and low cost, is what we call umbrella insurance. And it's just extra liability on the personal side. So whether it's your home or your renter's policy, I usually say for most of the time if you're renting, I'm more worried about just the car side of things. Unfortunately, as a physician, you get into a car accident, you get an extra target on your back. Any decent legal counsel finds out you're a physician, call it the soccer flop. All of a sudden, we're suing for $10 million as opposed to the $10,000 in medical costs. So keep that in mind. Illness and injury, health insurance, right? Make sure you have good health insurance in place. You have to pick your own. So you get to search out there, see what's out there. Maybe you're going to healthcare.gov. Maybe you have your own independent insurance broker you're working with, but make sure you're getting good health insurance. Again, if a high deductible health plan makes sense for you and your family, use that HSA wherever you can. Disability insurance. You need disability insurance. Again, I hope this is not breaking news, but you need very good true ONOC disability. If you're sitting here now and I'd say anywhere in probably like 10 years or younger into an attending physician role, I know we don't think about it this way, but your biggest asset, it's you. It's the ability to wake up and go to work every day. Take your annual salary, multiply it by 10, 20, 30. That's a very big number. I don't care what your specialty is. It's a large number. That's why you need to make sure you're insuring yourself, right? Cover yourself. That's disability insurance. Death, life insurance. Life insurance can vary based on your situation. I would say if you're married, probably have a pretty good need. If you have kids, I can guarantee you have a large need. Maybe that doesn't pertain to you, but someone co-signed on your loans. Mom and dad co-signed on your loans. You probably should get some life insurance because heaven forbid anything happens to you, mom and dad are on the hook, or mom's on the hook, or dad's on the hook, grandma or grandpa, whoever co-signs. By co-signing, you got to be proceed with caution there. And last but not least, loss of expensive property. So just always ensuring the little things. I'm amazed by how many physicians that we work with where they have, it could be like a coin collection or a purse collection, whatever their thing is that they enjoy and they love and they get value from, they don't have it properly insured. Little things too. Don't forget engagement. The amount of times we found engagement rings not insured is just mind-boggling to me. But make sure you have what we label as a personal articles policy, something that's covering those other unique things. I'm sure your homeowners has some coverage for it, but we like to kind of sever it out, carve it out, set it to the side, and then put that over there and get a separate personal articles policy. Those are the main risk management tools. Some of those are more traditional in your employer benefits package. Some of those are just life. So just making sure you're keeping an eye on all those things from a risk management perspective. Last but not least, choosing a proper business structure. Now, in full disclosure, we usually will say, hey, let's bring in a proper attorney or maybe an accountant in this situation to confirm our thinking. You can see anything from a sole proprietorship, you could see a partnership, you could see an LLC, you could see a PLLC, you could see an S Corp. I'm going to throw in a C Corp, but probably not really in this locums world. But most importantly, you got to make sure you set up the proper business entity. And keep in mind, the most common ones you're going to see are an LLC, sole proprietor LLC, and then probably that same setup, but they file as an S Corp. And that's the key. You can't actually go create an S Corp per se. You're still going to be an LLC, but you're going to submit a form to the IRS that says, hey, I'm going to file as an S Corp. So just keep that in mind. That comes up quite a bit. And sometimes we get a little bit nervous that some accountants are a little bit too proactive on the S Corp. And we'll look through things and we're like, I think this overcomplicated things. And you're not taking the draws. Like the draws is the main benefit there, right? You got to pay yourself a reasonable salary. And then the draws are where you can avoid that FICA tax. And that's where you're going to lower your tax bill. But the amount of times we've seen that set up and it's not actually being done properly, or there's something that's a little bit like, hey, I don't think $50,000 for a physician is a reasonable salary. You might want to check back on that. But business entity, there's going to be some moving parts to it. But I'd say your most common ones are going to be a sole proprietor LLC. Fantastic setup. We love that one. Or that same setup, sole proprietor LLC, and then you're going to file as an S Corp. Those are probably the most two common ones we see there. And with our clients, we walk through the pros and cons to that. Same thing you can be doing with your accountant. Same thing you can be doing with a business attorney. And the main thing there is with the S Corp, you just want to make sure you're following some more rules and guidelines. But you can still be pretty dangerous in a good way on the sole proprietor LLC as well without filing as an S Corp. It depends on a few moving parts there. So make sure you're getting the proper business entity set up. If you're going to take one thing away from this paragraph, make sure you actually set up an LLC. Make sure you get an employer tax ID, an EIN number, and you can also get those without setting up the business entity. But in the world of medicine, I would rather have you start to separate those, get the business bank account, get the business credit card, start to build it like a business. Because remember, going back to my very first intro note, you are a business owner and you need to remember that. So treat it like a business and be proud to be a business owner. Set it up appropriately, and that way you're limiting any liability that could possibly sneak up on you in the future. Key financial aspects for a locum tenens physician. This is one of those topics where you could go down a lot of rabbit holes. The main goal of today's video, and really even the blog post that we referenced, we'll have that in the show notes as well, and also the older edition of this video. Main goal is to give you a foundation. Maybe you're kicking the tires right now on if you want to do locum tenens. Maybe you're just in medical school and you're thinking, hey, maybe this is a route I actually want to go once I get through all my training. Maybe you're already a locum tenens physician. You're thinking, hey, I didn't even realize the solo K did that for my backdoor Roth compared to the SEP. I should make that tweak. But regardless, we wanted to give you a good foundation, maybe add in a few new tidbits in there for you, and then let you run with it. We'll continue to add more content too for locum tenens physician. We already have a few videos out there. We have a few different topics on the blog as well. So thank you for tuning in here for the last 15 minutes or so. We will continue to produce great content, and we will continue to help you on this financial planning journey. So if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, click on the little bell icon. You'll get a notification anytime we release new content. But as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next video.